What's going on, guys? It's Greg from East Coast Dice, and I'm going to be doing a live stringing of a Warrior Nas that I have to string up. And so they wanted a Paul Rabel shooter set up with like a mid-high pocket. The Nas are kind of a pain because there's not a lot of sidewall holes, so I've strung a couple of those, so it should go all right. And I've been doing the live streams. This time I'm going to do some commentary instead of the music. It won't be a ton of commentary, but just to talk to you guys a little bit through what I'm doing, since a lot of people are curious about the Nas. So we'll get it started here. I just want white 15mm East Coast mesh. All right. So for my triangle tops, for all my strings, my sidewalls and everything, I just do like an arm's length of the string, because there's nothing worse than stringing up an entire head or stringing all the sidewall or all the way across the top string and then finding out at the end that you do not have enough string. And that's especially true in customs, leather, cross-lace, traditional customs. I've done many before where I've gotten almost all the way done and realized I wasn't going to have enough string to finish, and at that point you've sunk a couple hours into it, and it's really hard to stop and have to undo it all and then restring it with a longer string. So that's really frustrating. So my tip to you is string's cheap if you buy it by the spool. So always make sure you over measure your string. So we're going to do the triangle top string. I'm going to do it where I double up. Oh shit, I have to put this on. I'm going to do it where I double up the connectors, so not the triangle part, but the actual part that connects the mesh to the head. Just makes it a little sturdier, and I also like the way it looks. So here we go. I always start from the left side of my sticks. There was a debate on a couple of my live streams as to which side people start with. I don't know. I always do the first string on the triangle top from the left to the right, and the second string from the right to the left. Just no real reason behind that. So I'm gonna do the little loop to lock it down, and I'm going to make a triangle top string, a little bit, stringing tutorial for you guys, an in-depth one in front of the black screen. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. So when I do my double tops, I go in through the head first, and then up through the mesh, and then the next one I go into the mesh and up through the head second. And doing this double top actually really helps keep it symmetrical, since it places the diamond right on the hole every time. So that's one thing also. It's an advantage of doing the double top. You know, you don't really have to do a triangle top string. There's also a lot of people debate about that. I just have a really big pet peeve about anything being loose on my lacrosse stick. I like to keep everything super tight. So I really like the triangle top string because I hate it when that middle diamond on a 9-diamond top starts to sag down. Just looking at it really bothers me, so the triangle top helps keep it nice and tight. For a while, there's also a big debate on the P34 triangle top, the one that uses both the 9-diamond and the 10-diamond rows. Well, I actually don't like that as much. The mesh is held up weird, and I mean, I know how to do it, and it is a little bit more complicated, but it's not worth it for how complicated it is. I don't really like the look of it or how it functions. I used to use it a little bit in my heads, so I'm kind of strayed away from that. Alright, so we've got the first part of the triangle top completed. And I always like to leave my strings about 1.5 inches when I cut them, just in case something goes wrong, you need to change something. And that's especially true down the sidewalls, because if you need to add an extra interlock or something like that and you didn't leave enough string, then like I said earlier, you're going to end up having to restring the entire sidewall. So it's always easier to leave more string and cut it off at the end if you need to. So he wants Carolina for the other part of the triangle top string, so a 2-color. One thing I hate is Jim Lax's Carolina colors. They're not really Carolina. Their shooting strings are Carolina, but for one reason or another, their sidewall strings don't even match the shooting strings. They're more like neon or electric blue. They're cool looking blue, they're just not Carolina. So here's the completed double string for the beginning. So now I'll go through and do the rest of the triangle top. So like I said, I like to start on the right. And with my second string, the one that does the triangling, if I have enough space in the first hole in the sidewall, I like to do another loop just to keep it, like I said, one of my pet peeves is having it really tight. And that's one thing that creates consistency in the pocket is tightness. That's why people always rag on other people in lacrosse forums about having loose sidewalls, because loose sidewalls can make the head change how it throws from throw to throw, and that's what's considered consistency. So that's one thing you really look for in a good string job. And my favorite thing to string with lacrosse is needle nose pliers. Really save your fingers and help you pull the string super tight, much tighter than you can with your fingers. And plus, then you'll end up with all kinds of chapped hands. When I was stringing a lot of heads, like 50 or 60 a week, I would have to wear golf gloves sometimes when I was doing the sidewalls because the sides of my hands were so chapped up from stringing so many heads. And that's especially true with the ones with hard mesh. I hate stringing hard mesh. It's just extremely difficult to get the mesh to behave in the way that you want, to lay flat on your doubles and your triples and things like that. It's just so much easier with wax mesh, specifically East Coast mesh in this case, and in almost every head I string. So a lot of you guys request heads that you want me to live string, and I don't go out and buy too many heads, but sometimes I just stumble across one, or somebody sends me one, and I'm able to have it. And so that's when I do my head-to-head reviews and my head reviews, my live strings, my tutorials. Is when I get a head just by coincidence that I want to check out and string and do a tutorial on or something like that, because it's kind of expensive for me to go out and buy a head just to string it, and then at that point I can't return it. I don't think I can return it. I think you can only exchange it. And when you buy a head, if I were to then just sell it to someone else, it would lose a lot of value because the warranty doesn't carry over. So not quite economic in that sense. Alright, so we're finishing up the Carolina portion of the triangle top string. And the reason I can do the double triangle top with the double interlocks for the first string is because the top string holes and the knobs are so large. Some other heads won't quite accommodate that. I know heads like the Evo X and other ones can, but I know there's some that don't have large enough top string holes to accommodate 4 strings through each hole, and that's what you really need is 4 strings. Alright, so completed the triangle top. There it is with the double first string with the white and the triangle portion with the Carolina blue. And I'll show you real quick. You can see the 2 loops, the white string and the Carolina blue string that I did. So that portion is all done. So now we're going to string the sidewall. It's a mid-high pocket, not quite high, so it'll shift a little bit more mid. With the Paul Rabel shooter setup, the 1 straight, 1 nylon, 1 straight, and a 6 and a 4U. So string up the sidewalls. He just wanted white strings for the sidewall. Some people ask me why I lean over when I burn my strings, because I got a ceiling fan on in my room and it blows the lighter all around. We keep our house during the day on 80, which is pretty hot for a house, and my room's got 3 windows and faces the sun the whole day, so it's pretty brutal. But I'm usually the only one home all day, and so we don't run the air conditioning just for one person, because all my other roommates work day jobs, so I'm the only one around. And it would be expensive to run the air conditioning for just one person, so they leave me to suffer. So I kind of can't wait for it to get a little bit colder. As much as I love the summer, it will be much easier, but we also don't run the heat too hot, so it's either really hot in this house or really cold, except for the fall and the spring when it's actually a nice temperature. So we're going to start stringing the sidewall. I'll give you guys the pattern that I use as I go down, and I'm just going to go start in on the second hole, and I'll show you what I've done here real quick. Just a quick tip is the first hole in the knot is very large, and so I don't want my knot to fall through. So you can see I looped the string just twice without doing anything. So then I'm going to do an interlock on the third hole to the first 10 diamond row of mesh, then another interlock, and finally another interlock. And so the holes on the knobs are not ideally placed, certainly not where I love them to be, and there's not a ton of them, but you can sort of work around it. So I might have to toy with a couple patterns here, since I have not strung one of these heads in a while, and specifically have not strung a mid-high pocket. And that's true. I don't go into very many stringings with a decided pattern that I want to do. Mostly I just wing it and try and figure it out as I go along, and I think that's the best way. If you go in with a pattern, it makes it a little bit harder. I like to make a new pattern as I go along. So far what I've done is done an interlock, 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 a 2 SI, a 1 SI, and I'm going to finish it off with a 1 and a final 1. So I gotta tell you, I don't really know how this pocket's gonna turn out. Looks like it might turn out alright, but you never know until you're done stringing the whole head. So I'll do the other side wall. We'll see how it looks. But just show you the pattern that I've done thus far, so you guys can get a grasp of what I'm doing. Tie second, interlock, interlock, interlock. 1, 2 SI, 1 SI, 1, 1. And some people say that you're supposed to do both side walls at the same time. Go down on both sides at the same time and do it. But as long as you do both side walls in the same tension and in the same pattern, it will not make a difference whether you string them separately or you string them at the same time. It's just going to turn out the same regardless. So I like to do them one by one. Just a personal preference. You can string them at the same time if you want, though. Doesn't make a huge difference. So the same pattern down this side. Interlock, interlock, interlock. Then a 2 SI. And I'm using the SI because I think it really makes, sometimes interlocks can make the mesh kind of weird looking and bunchy-ish, but SIs make it really nice and flat and don't create any bunching or anything like that, so that's why I'm using an SI here. Alright, so we got the second sidewall done, and my suggestion for you guys is when you're stringing your stick and trying to come up with your own patterns and things like that, my suggestion is to string the entire stick, bottom string and all, pound it in, and then decide what you want to do with the sidewall pattern. I'll show you in a second here because I think I'm going to have to change this sidewall pattern up a little bit, so I'll show you exactly what my process is for that. But this guy wanted a shooter for the bottom string, sort of like Paul Rabel does, so I'm going to give him the same cool like crisscross style bottom string that Paul Rabel did in his stick. So what Paul Rabel does, we weave the shooter in and out through the 10 diamond row, and then pull it tight so it bunches all that mesh up. And then what he did was he went back around the start there. So I'll show you guys. Went back around so it creates a little like kind of a breast cancer looking thing down there at the bottom, just like that, and just really bunches the mesh really tightly together. I'm sure a regular bottom string would do just as well, but this is what they requested, so, and it does look kind of cool. There we go. So we got the special Paul Rabel bottom string there. There it is. Looks pretty cool. So you can see the Paul Rabel bottom string. It kind of makes it bunch up there at the bottom. Bunches the mesh up so it becomes a little bit more baggy. So I'm going to change up the sidewall pattern here a little bit. You can see this is mostly just a bag, really long undefined pocket with not the greatest channel I've ever seen, so I might try and change it up a little bit here. So that's what I'm saying, is that once you put the bottom string in, it'll really form the pocket the way it's going to form, so you don't want to go switching the sidewall pattern around before you know what it's really going to look like without, or with a bottom string, and once it's all strung. So what I'm going to do is switch that 2 SI to a 1 interlock to pull it down just a little bit further and really create that channel, and then I'm going to put in a 2 interlock to really create the pocket right after that 1 interlock and really push it up into a nice mid-high pocket, and that looks like it should be just about perfect. And then finish it off with the same 1 and a 1. So you can see already the difference by changing the one sidewall. You can see that this is the sidewall side that hasn't changed, and this is the one that has. You can see this channel is tighter on this side, and it's going to make that pocket nice and high and defined. So this pattern will work out much better than what I had before. Yeah. Some of you might be wondering why I said I thought SIs were better than interlocks, and that doing one SIs is better than doing one interlocks. And now I'm doing one interlock is because an SI won't pull the mesh quite as tightly as an interlock, and I really wanted to pull it down tight to create that channel. So finish off this sidewall with the last two ones. Tighten up the bottom string a little bit, and you can see that the reason it's bagging out a little bit at the bottom here is because of the bottom string, so I think I might bump it up a row. He did request the polarized bottom string, but you can do it on a 9-diamond row as well. But you can see that the channel looks nice now, and the pocket looks nice now. So after adjusting that pattern, we really came up with exactly what I was looking for out of this pocket. Yeah, I think the shooter might be, or the bottom string might be all right. So it is what they requested. So, and it does look pretty nice. So tie off the bottom string. So that is this Warrior Nas. Let me run down a pattern for you guys real quick. This is with 15mm East Coast mesh. It's tie second, interlock, 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 one interlock, two interlock, a one and a one, and turned out really nice. Should be a pretty good pocket for the player. I'm not going to live string the shooting strings just because they're kind of boring. And I'm sure you all know how to do shooting strings. If you don't, I have a tutorial on it. It shows you how to weave them. So I'm just going to do one nylon, one straight, one 6U, and one 4U. That's on the 10-diamond rows. And I'll clip this together so I can show you guys what it looks like when I'm all done. Alright guys, so here is the completed product of the Nas X with the polarizable shooter setup. So one nylon, one straight, one 6-diamond U, one 4-diamond U with the weird polarizable shooting string bottom string in there. So that's pretty cool. A mid-high pocket with a nice channel. He wanted a good bit of width, so that's what this will have. It's nice and deep, and I think it turned out really well overall. So thanks for watching. If you watched the whole thing, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the commentary more, the music more. Throw me a like if you like this video, and subscribe if you haven't. Have a good day.